So to begin with, we'll start with Lisa Toner. Hi, Lisa.
Sorry, I was on mute. Good morning.
Good morning. So we're going to start with what funding is available to first-year students.
Okay, so I'm a financial aid officer. I work for the college. OSAP is an Ontario Students Assistance Program for Ontario residents that live in Ontario to help fund their education. You can be a permanent resident or a protected person as well. You can apply for OSAP going to the website. So if you Google how to apply for OSAP, the application will come up. You'll need your OAN and password to complete your application and submit all supporting documents so that your funding can process. You could also, there's different avenues as well if you don't want to apply for OSAP, or if you do, I would suggest starting out that route. You can always go to your bank, see about a student line of credit. We have part-time jobs. You could go to maybe a Legion or an area that you're from. They might sponsor you. There's all kinds of avenues. So when you have specific questions, we ask that you email us at finaid@canadorecollege.ca, or you can have an appointment with us in person. You have to bring your proof of SIN card, the card or a letter from Service Canada, and government photo ID. We ask all students to check out our website, Canadore College, for entrance awards, scholarships and bursaries. Please really read them, see if they're appropriate for you, apply for everything you can. We have a Canadore work study program as well to help. It's usually up first 2 weeks of September, and you can apply for jobs in the college. If you run into financial difficulties, we ask that you come and see us, and we'll be happy to help. We'll see what we can offer you. Perhaps it's just help with purchasing a book, or if you're in need of food, we're here to help. We also offer budgeting tools, and you have to remember when you're on OSAP, you get 60% of your approved funding in the fall and 40% in the winter. So you really need to know your budget, how to budget laundry and food and entertainment and things like that, because it all adds up. That's about it. And if you would like to send specific questions, please email me at finaid@canadorecollege.ca, and I'll be happy to help, or you can also call. Our number is 705-474-7600. My extension is 5222, and you can also go through admissions as well. Their extension is 5123, and we'll be happy to help.
That's great. Thanks, Lisa. We do have more questions for you, so
Okay.
You're not getting off quite that easy.
I know that.
So what is OSAP? And you kind of mentioned that a bit, but
so it's an Ontario Assistance Program. It helps a student pay for college or university. And you have to be a resident of Ontario in order to be eligible for OSAP.
Awesome. How would a student find if they're eligible to apply?
Well, so if they've lived in Ontario for 12 months, they're a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a protected person.
Awesome. If somebody isn't eligible for OSAP, what other options are available at the college?
Okay, we ask them to check with their bank, financial institution, inquire about a student line of credit. They can go to a Legion, see if there's avenues out there that they may be able to get a sponsorship to help them pay for their education. Sometimes you may be band sponsored, partner sponsor, or you could try Yes Employment. You could try Better Jobs Ontario. That was Second Career to help assist as well.
Awesome.
And there are, sorry. Daryl?
Okay, go ahead.
There are entrance awards. They're up on our website until August 31st, and that's for new students entering programs at Canadore College that they can apply to. We do have scholarships and bursaries. They are on our website as well. Now, entrance awards opened May 1st and they close April 31st. Our bursaries open October 1st and close on October 28th. And scholarships open November 1st and close December 16th. So that information is there if the students want to go and review that. And then if they have specific questions, if they can email us back, we'll be happy to assist. There are 3 of us. I'm the only one that's here for the next week, but we really want to emphasize that a student pays attention to their budget, their rent, entertainment, food. We do have a food bank that can help if they run into difficulty as well. So we're here to help them. They just have to pop in and make sure they have their government ID and SIM card, and then we can research or find out specifically what they need.
Awesome. Would you have any tips for students that maybe haven't set up a budget before, or resources that they could access?
We do have some budget sheets that are available, and we can run through it with them. So what they need to do, they have to remember in the fall, you get 60% of your funding. And in the winter semester, you get 40. So that's a really big difference. So you really need to be mindful because your tuition has to be paid, your books have to be paid. Sorry about that, phones. And it's just difficult. So we offer them, get a job on campus, part-time job, 10 hours a week. That could help. As long as, your studies come first, that can alleviate, because money makes us uneasy if we don't have enough. And if we're not eating, then we can't study properly. So we just ask them to be mindful. Don't spend all your money in September. You have 3 other months to go through. So we are here to help, and we do have budget sheets available as well.
Awesome. Just a final question in case we do have any
Sure.
international students on the call. Is there any financial aid available for them?
So international students are not eligible for OSAP, but they can apply for scholarships and bursaries, specifically for international students. They need to make sure they read the criteria for each award and bursary so that it does pertain to them. And that's where it opens in October and November. I mean, if they're in difficulty and they need food, things like that, we can send them to the food bank and help out that way.
Awesome. That's great. Jonathan Cranston now. So Jonathan, you're up. Your first question today is, what is a credit transfer?
Good morning, Daryl and everyone else on the panel and all of our guests this morning, and welcome to Canada. Happy to see you at orientation. Transfer credit, in as plain of terms as possible, is acknowledging previously completed post-secondary courses and trying to use them for exemptions from courses that you would take at Canadore. So if you have already attended another institution and completed some courses, and there's some similarity to what you've done to what you need to take at in your new program at Canadore, there may be opportunities for credit transfer. So that's kind of the shortest answer for it. Obviously, there's some finer details involved, and we provide a lot of those details through our Transfer and Pathways Guide. It's a resource on our website that is basically covers the entire process from beginning to end, and then talks about some of the documents that are needed. But really, credit transfer is all about honoring that learning that has already taken place and seeing if we can utilize it to gain exemption from courses. And if you talk to anyone that's been able to drop a couple courses because of credit transfer, the positive spin-off of having a reduced course load and having more time to focus on other courses is always a positive thing for students when it comes to being successful in their courses.
Awesome. So will credits earned at a previous post-secondary institution transfer to Canadore, and how much can be expected?
Okay, so there is no yes or no to that. So equivalency, and that's what we're talking about here, saying what I did before is the same as what I'm about to do, is based on a course-by-course, program-by-program basis. So unfortunately, I can't say yes just because you studied somewhere, there's an automatic, that's not how it works. What we do is through our credit transfer application process, our subject matter experts look at the course that you've previously done as a student, and they compare the course learning outcomes. So a lot of students go, well, I took a course at a college and it's got the same title as the course I'm taking here. Those are just titles. That means nothing. The important factor is, what are the course learning outcomes? What did you learn when you were in the program or in the course? The bad example I always use but can't get away from is if you took apples 1, 2, 3 at Seneca, and then now you're taking apples 1, 2, 3 at Canadore. While the courses have the exact same titles, the Seneca course talked about the planting and growth of apples, whereas the Canadore course talked about the harvesting and selling of the apples. Two very different things, two completely different courses, even though they have the same title. So when you are looking at, as a student, the curriculum, and if you haven't done that yet, please make sure you know what courses you're doing over the next 1, 2, 3, however many years you're here. Be aware of what you come to take. Look at those courses. Look at the course outlines for the courses you're going to take. And if that triggers in your brain, hey, all of these learning outcomes, this is just like that course I did somewhere else, then there may be a good opportunity to pursue credit transfer. So unfortunately, it's not a blanket, yes, just because you did something, you get something. It comes down to showing that what you've learned is equivalent to what you're going to learn here. And when those equivalencies are agreed upon by our subject matter experts, you would receive the credit transfer. The number of credits is dependent on the course. Courses that are only 28 hours might only be worth 2 courses, whereas courses that are 56 hours long might be worth 4 credits. So the credit value is different from course to course, but you are credited those credits. So some students get nervous, if I get an exemption and drop this course, am I not going to get enough credits to graduate? And there is a appropriate credit value attached to any courses you gain an exemption from. So there's no danger there. The one consideration for students who have a large number of potential credit transfer opportunities is their registration status. And this kind of ties back to what Lisa was speaking about. If you're an OSAP funded student and OSAP is expecting you to be a full-time student, if you get a bunch of exemptions and drop a bunch of courses, you want to make sure you retain your full-time status, because that could have a negative impact on your OSAP. So that's why, unfortunately, Daryl, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer here. It is very specific to the person, the program, the course, and whatever their current registration situation is. And that's why we ask students to review our credit transfer and pathways guide for more of that detail, and just to and obviously to reach out to myself at any time as well for any of that support.
Awesome. So if I think I am applicable for a credit transfer, when and how should I be applying for that?
Okay, so technically speaking, you can apply anytime throughout the year, although there are some ideal times to do it. So we have a course drop deadline, which usually happens 10 days into a semester. And the goal is to hopefully, if you're a brand new student, to get any of those exemptions out of the way, because the last thing you want to do is spend 8 or 9 weeks in a class and then eventually drop it, which could be great, but then you spent 8 or 9 weeks doing a course that you maybe didn't have to if you had been a little more proactive with applying for credit transfer. So we have a deadline of August 15th. So any complete credit transfer applications that we receive before August 15th are guaranteed a result, and that means approved or denied. They're guaranteed a result, though, before that drop deadline of the 10 days into the semester, okay? There's one point I want to circle back to. I don't know if those of you paying attention, hopefully I haven't put you to sleep yet. If you heard the word complete application package, the application form is ultimately very important, but without the supporting documents, it doesn't move forward. So you would need to ensure that transcripts, course outlines are also included. Again, this is covered in the Transfer and Pathways Guide as far as documentation you need to submit. But once we have all of the components before August 15th, we'll guarantee a result. Okay, so what that would do is, if you got your result before the 10 days into the semester, then if you had an approval, then you'd be able to drop the course, and then it's out of your way for the remainder of the semester. But that is not to say that you can't continue throughout the semester to apply. So the next big deadline comes right in about the second week of December, and forgive me for not having the date right off the top of my head. I've only about 4 sips into my coffee. But in early December, there will be a course drop deadline for the semester, wherein if you if you don't drop a course and you receive a failing grade, it sticks. So a lot of students will have their stuff already ready to go, which is wonderful. Hit that deadline of August 15th if you can. Those of you that can't, don't panic, because we realize while you are working with other institutions, sometimes that may cause delays in your ability to have transcripts sent or your ability to secure course outlines. So you can apply all throughout the year, but there are some key times that you'd want to focus on.
Awesome. And so the next question is, does Canadore have partnerships of any kind with other institutions?
Absolutely, Daryl. We have a large number of pathways and partnerships with other institutions. And this is where we kind of shift the conversation away from the credit transfer and now focus on, when I'm done my studies at Canadore, what other opportunities exist for me? And in our transfer and pathways guide, you will find the pathways that exist for graduates of our programs. Now, these pathways have been prearranged, and they will hopefully result in some advanced standing. It is up to the receiving institution to determine exactly how much advanced standing you'll get. So when you're heading into the final month or so of your program, or when you're looking at what my next steps are, you may need to provide another institution with your Canadore transcript and course outlines so they can do a review. But we do have a number of pathways to degree options at universities and colleges throughout Ontario, throughout Canada, and internationally as well. We have some really unique pathways with some international partners that have been really exciting and neat adventures for some of our students to go on as well. So, for specifics to your program, our credit transfer and pathways guide will show you what the existing pathways are. Some of you have maybe never thought, maybe you haven't thought yet beyond where you are right now, and that's coming to Canadore, which is wonderful. But some of you maybe have, and you thought, what is my path to my ultimate career goals? And if that includes laddering and continuing your education into other stuff, we do have pathways in existence.
That's awesome. And just to maybe add a bit, we do have partnerships with Nipissing, which is actually physically, if you're a college drive student, at the exact same place. So how easy could that be? It couldn't be any better. So thank you very much, Jonathan. We're going to Angela, we're going to start with some registration questions specifically. So good morning. The first question is, when does registration begin? And what if I'm unavailable to register at that time?
Well, good morning, everyone. That seems to be the burning question. So registration is, in fact, a bit delayed. We're still getting through the schedules, but we will be receiving an email in the next week or two. And this email will give you all the information that you need and the dates and times that registration will open. We are anticipating that it will open in the next couple of weeks. So please watch for that email. And in that email, you'll have the window that your registration will be opened in that window, sorry. And you will also get information about how to register, needing your student ID, needing your date of birth. All of that information will be in that email. So please watch for that email in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. And so next up is, how do I register for classes, and what happens if I have any issues?
Okay, so to register for classes, you'll be going into self-service, and there'll be a link in that email to self-service with login information. So once you log in, you'll get a tutorial telling you how to go through the process. It's very simple. If you do encounter any problems during registration, in that email, there'll be a link to a Zoom session, and those Zoom sessions usually start on the first day that registration opens, and they usually last for about a week. It may be longer if it depends on the amount of support needed. And you will be able to join those Zoom calls, and we can support you through the whole process. You can also contact our office at admissions at canadorecollege.ca, or call the office at 5123, and we can support you that way. So you'll have all kinds of supports when those windows opens, but please read the email carefully. It'll have all the instructions in there on when and how to register for your classes.
Awesome. So what is my student number and where can I find it?
So your student number for domestic students would have been on your offer letter. So you all would have received an offer letter in the mail, as well as an email of your offer letter. If you're not able to, if you didn't get that information, which you should have, please contact our office, again, through the admissions email, admissions@canadorecollege.ca, or please contact us through calling the office at 5123, and we can locate that information for you.
Awesome. Do students need to pay their full tuition before they can even register? And how do they submit payment?
Yes, so referring to the important dates and deadlines, yesterday was full payment due date. So you would have made your first payment to hold your seat on June 15th of $250, and then the rest of your tuition would have been due yesterday. Obviously, full payment will be required in order to register. If you are seeking OSAP funding or a sponsored student, you will have to have started the process of applying for OSAP, and we would require your sponsorship letter to be in the hands of Canadore College before that window opens to allow you to register.
Awesome. So shifting gears a little bit, how would a student get their student card and bus pass, and what should they be putting down for a mailing address if they don't know yet where they're living?
Okay, so all students, new and returning, received an email last week to go in and upload their photo for their bus pass and their student card. So that would be the first step, and we'll send out more communication about that. And then they'll be able to pick up their student cards here at the main campus or at the campus that their program is being delivered. So Commerce Court, Aviation, College Drive, as well as Perry Sound will have pickup stations for them to be able to pick up their cards, and we'll send out that email as well on when those dates will be. Keep in mind that the bus pass is only valid at the start of the semester, which is September 6th, so you won't be able to use that bus pass until that date. And I think, was there anything else, Daryl? Sorry.
I don't think so. Oh, the mailing address. They don't know
Okay,
where they're
and then-
living yet. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not sure, you can put your current address there and then update your address once you come to the college. In self-service, you'll be able to do that. But the address that you're living at right now is fine for that process.
Awesome. And I'll just add on, I know we had some students, potential students that have now become students that we had told on some tours that you could opt out of that bus pass, but that has now changed. So it is now mandatory. So you'll be getting a bus pass regardless. So just as an FYI. So Angela, back to class schedule and program delivery. So how and when will a student get their class schedule, and do they get to choose their own?
Okay, so during the process of registration, you will be provided with, we call them a block of courses. And so Canadore College has block registration, which is pretty much across the board with colleges. So you're given a block of courses to select. There could be several blocks, so you'll be able to pick from the blocks that are available for you. And so it is predefined, the courses that you will be required to register in order for you to be successful in your program and graduate. Unless you have an academic plan, then that's a different process. You will have the opportunity, if a gen ed is required in the semester that you're registering for, you'll be able to select one of those gen eds, and keep in mind it should be a gen ed that you haven't taken before if you are a returning student. But if you are a new student, then you'll have a choice of any of those gen eds. And then once you finish the process and you submit your selection of your block, you will get your schedule at the end of the registration process. And in order to distinguish whether or not you'll be face-to-face or online delivery for those courses, you will have to look for a classroom in the schedule of the course. And so if there is a classroom there in your schedule for that course, then you'll be required to be face-to-face in class for that course. If there is no classroom assigned to that course, then expect that course to be online. So look out for that in your schedule, the classroom, and if there isn't a classroom, to expect that to be online.
Awesome. And the last question, actually not, I'm sorry, I just thought it was the last question. What does it mean if my program is hybrid? Does that mean that I need to be on campus?
Yes. So if your program is hybrid, expect to have at least 60 to 70% of your courses delivered on site. So yes, you will be required to be on site for at least 60 to 70%, and then the rest might be online.
Awesome. And the final question, can I change my program before the start of classes?
You can. The recommendation is that you do it within the first 10 days. That's to support success, obviously. There are certain programs that are a little bit tighter when it comes to changing a program in the first 10 days, like the health sciences and aviation programs. Those you'll have to make that change earlier than that so that you are successful in the other programs. So yes, but you can make that change within the first 10 days.
That's awesome. And I'm actually just going to add one more question, and that is for the academic delivery plan, where can that be found in case students have not seen that yet?
It is on our website. We can put the link in the chat here. So that delivery plan is on the website. So just look for your program in there and it'll tell you whether it's fully in class, whether it's hybrid, or there are some fully online programs, but those you would have had to apply for specifically. But the majority of the programs are going to be either hybrid or fully in class.
Awesome. Well, that actually wraps up all of our questions that we had kind of predetermined. We want to turn it to the students' questions. So I see that, boy, our behind the scenes team is really keeping up with the questions because we only have one open one. So Danielle is asking, how does the same apply for online intake? Talking about registration and block of courses, can you elaborate how that works? So Anja, I believe the question is, if they're completely online, how would registration work?
So it would work the same way. You'll be registering for your block of courses the same way you would if you were in class. It's just you'll have an online delivery. You will be receiving emails shortly after that on how to log into your courses, but it would be the same process as it would be, and you will be getting the same email information on how to register for those classes.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. We do just have another question here. So Braylon, I know you're looking at a question about residents. You will get information from residents about that. I'm not sure, Trish, are we going to have a welcome home meeting about residents?
We are going to have residents joining us actually next Thursday. So during the safety matters session, we'll have residents. We'll also have security. We'll talk more about the parking passes as well. We will also have some people from Access and Inclusion, and we'll learn a little bit more about the health plan.
Awesome.
So,
that's
yes,
great.
Next Thursday, we're going to have a couple staff and residents who can provide additional insight into that.
That's awesome. So we've got another question. Marika Banks is asking if the book list provided on the Canadore website for specific courses is accurate. I don't know if we have anybody on today that can answer that question, but I wanted to put it out there.
Daryl, I can speak to it. I'm not sure if I can provide the exact details. It should be accurate if it's on our website. However, if you have the ability, once our faculty are back, please make sure that you contact your coordinator, and you will get that information on your schedule on who your coordinator is to ensure that you are in fact getting the correct books. But as far as I know, it should be accurate, but I would definitely double check with your coordinator once you have your schedule to ensure that you are getting exactly what you need in the way of books.
That makes sense. And Marika, I would just say too, for me, when I was a student, I always waited for that first day of class just to be sure that the list was absolutely accurate, because it does sometimes happen that there will be changes and you don't want to buy a book that could be in the hundreds of dollars without first making sure that you've got a book list that you know is true. So we will move on to another question. So an anonymous attendee said early on the pre-departure webinar, they said that the orientation is the 30th and 31st of August. That is if you are a student that will be attending the Stanford campuses, as my understanding. So just to be clear on that, this is for our North Bay campuses, not for our Stanford campuses. So that is a bit of a separate issue.
And Daryl, if you want, I can kind of jump in here. I know the international office, they weren't sure if they'd be able to get all the orientations done during the first day. So there was that second day, August 31st, for any of the North Bay students for the in-person orientation, but they are able to get everyone into that first day. So August 30th is when the in-person international orientation is going to be happening for the North Bay students. And there will be information sent out through iSent and also through your email. So just make sure if you are an international student and you haven't downloaded the iSent app, this is a must-have, and I can put the link in the chat for you. So if you haven't downloaded it, you can do that.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Trish. Jade has a question. On the first day of classes, you just go to your first period class. Yep, exactly, Jade. So my suggestion always was, I mean, for me, this is just my experience, but I would always go to all the areas, find my classroom the week before, and then when that first day does come, then you know exactly where that class is. So that's what I would say. I mean, it's not a big building that we have here compared to, say, other larger institutions, but it still can be a little bit daunting finding those classes. So that would be my suggestion. Next question that I have is if I apply online for my student ID and bus pass, do I need to reapply if I defer my admission, or I'll be given the same one? So my understanding of that would be yes, you would need to reapply, but and I'm going to give it to you too to give your answer since I don't work in your office.
Yes. No, you're correct though, Daryl. Yes. Put in your application now. It'll definitely be dependent on registration. So if you're not registering for classes, you won't be receiving a bus pass. So, and you will have to apply again.
Awesome. Thank you. So two questions that I have. So one is, if I register through Ocass, how would I know which campus I'll be attending? So I'll leave that one also to you, Angela.
Yes, so when you do apply on Ocass, you'll see the campus. So the program is associated with the campus. So, and once you do apply, you'll be receiving communications that will allude to the campus that program is being offered. You can also check our website to see where which campuses programs are being offered. But yes, it is on Ocass, the program is related to the campus that you will be attending. Now, keep in mind that we have done some campus changes and communications have gone out about that, but our website and Ocass has been updated with those campuses. So just keep that in mind when you're applying.
That's awesome. Thank you, Angela. The next question is probably one that a few people may have. So the question is, would I need a textbook if I do graphic design or not really? So that's a good question. I'll leave it again to our panel of experts.
Again, I would definitely wait till the first day of classes and find out from your faculty and your coordinator if you require textbooks. I don't want to say yes or no. That would definitely be something that a coordinator would be able to provide you on information on. I think there is some information that you could get from our website on that related information. However, definitely wait till the first day of classes and speak to faculty and coordinators about that.
Awesome. And I will just add to it, sometimes in your course outline, it'll say whether a text is required or just suggested. And so that can usually give you a pretty good idea as well, whether or not it's needed. So moving on to the next question, will there be a student council or volunteers greeting students on the first week, helping us find where to go?
So Daryl, I can jump in and answer this question. So we are going to have people available to direct you where to go at the campuses, at the doors to all the entrances. I know marketing has done a brand new beautiful maps that kind of show students where to go. But the other thing you want to look for is we have these red Ask Me buttons, and we're going to be giving them out to faculty and staff and anyone who is basically an expert of Canadore or will be able to help you out. So if you are on campus and you see anyone that's wearing a red Ask Me button, you can also go up to them and they can point you in the right direction, or if they don't know the right direction, they will know someone who knows the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you, Trish. Now, I do just want to see there's not a huge amount of questions in our Q&A. We do have one that says, can I pay for student ID? And it's anonymous. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what you're asking there. If it's just if you can pay for your account, which of course, yes, you can, or if it's a different question, but I'm just going to dismiss it if you wouldn't mind re-asking the question. And as of right now, we don't have any open ones. Oh, there we go. There's another one. So yes, the anonymous question is, would we be getting a material list on the first day? And if there are items we wouldn't generally think of bringing. So if you're referring directly to your course materials, yes, you will be getting a course material list, i.e. a textbook list, or what you may require. In the case of programs where it may be, say, more of a trades-based program, you'll typically have that information already. Once that could be on the program page, so I would check there. So if you were, say, wanting to be in our AME program, aviation maintenance, there is a list of tools that you'll require right on the program page. So I hope that answers. Is there anybody on the panel that also wanted to add to that?
Daryl, I can add in a little bit as well, and just plugging some future sessions. We do have an Ask a Student session that's coming up in 2 weeks, and there we have a variety of students, different campuses, and they'll be able to provide some additional student perspective of things that they wish they knew before they came, or some little tidbits that they might be a little bit more able to kind of give you some advice on what to expect during that first year or first week on campus.
Awesome. So we do have another question, which is, can we explain how online intake will happen regarding quizzes and submitting paperwork? So that would be something that your professor would be telling you how to do. They'll go over that. And so we unfortunately are not faculty that are on this call. However, we do use an online system in which you would do quizzes, submit if you have essays. That would be how you would how that would work. The next question that we have is, what kind of jobs are there on campus? So we wanted to kind of put that to the group. I can say, being in the liaison office, that we hire students in our office that would do perhaps tours on campus if you would be a good fit for that. Admissions also hires students to do lots of things. Basically every office in the school will hire students to some capacity. If anybody wants to add to that, you certainly can. But yes, there's lots and lots. I think it's like 170 jobs are available for students, but it might be more than that depending on the intake. So I'll open it up if anybody else wants to add to that. Perfect. So we'll go to the next question. So Marika is asking, in high school, the guidance counselors had an open door. You could walk in at any time and have a chat if you needed it. At Canadore, will you need to register with a counselor, or can you just drop in? So Trish, I'm going to put that to you because I think you're the best one to answer that one.
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. And there will be some other sessions that will delve more into this, and you'll get to actually meet some of our student support staff. But I am part of the student success department, and we kind of encompass a lot of different areas. We've got accessible learning, we've got mental health supports, we also got learning supports for all students, and there's some peer tutoring and things like that. But we do have drop-ins. So if you come on the College Drive campus, I'm going to have to remember, we're right next to the First People Center. I think we're C262, but we're in the Student Success office, and you can just walk in. If there is a navigator available, we are available for the walk-in appointments. If not, you can book an appointment with us, either by calling the front desk or coming in and booking it in person. And starting in September, we will also offer an option to book online. So stay tuned for more information once everything gets launched in September.
That's awesome. So there's another question here that says, is it necessary for all students to register on or for OSAP? No, it's not necessary at all. If you don't need the assistance, you certainly don't need to apply for it. But maybe I'll leave that open again to Lisa if you wanted to add anything.
Hi, yeah, so I mean, OSAP is a government assistance program for students that need assistance. I did put in the chat that you may not be eligible if you have, you know, enough financial resources, then you're not going to qualify for OSAP. It's a good tool if you want to apply for OSAP just to get grant. Maybe you'll be eligible for just grants and not loans. And as long as you're successful, in 60% of your courses, you know, you'll be fine. And you graduate from your program, then your grants, you don't have to repay. So it's entirely up to the student. I would suggest that they at least try to apply, put all their information in the application, see what happens. Sometimes a parent makes too much or the student makes too much, bankruptcy comes into play, or if you've defaulted on a loan. So really look at all your avenues, and you can always do an application, and even if you do receive an assessment for funding, you don't have to take OSAP. You can close your application. It's, you know, neither here nor there. But I would suggest if you think you do need some help in paying for your education, that you look over how to apply for OSAP, look at all the questions. They give you a lot of information on the website. So ask the questions or send me an email and I'll be happy to help, so that you feel at ease, and then, you know, you're not in a situation, because if you come to school, you don't have OSAP, everything's great, you have some financial emergencies, and then you come to us for help, the first thing we're going to say to you is, why didn't you apply for OSAP? So you should always try that avenue first, and you know, then we can help you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. We do have another question that I think is probably right up your alley. So the question is, when will we know if we get a bursary from the college?
So with, okay, let me grab my sheet here. So we all know entrance awards, May 1st to August 31st. So so entrance awards, students are informed via email if they were successful at the beginning of October. For bursaries that open October 1st and close October 28th at 4, they have to be reviewed and critiqued to make sure everything that was asked was provided and necessary. And then they get an email at the end of November for the fall winners. So if you are successful and you were a winner, you get an email. If you weren't, you don't get an email. In the beginning of March, so November for fall, and then you'd get an email beginning of March for the winter winners. And for the scholarships that are on our website, they open November 1st and they close December 16th at 4. And this scholarship winners are usually informed by email the beginning of March, middle of March. So it's all students are notified via email if they're successful.
Awesome. So the next question is for Jonathan. We have an anonymous question saying, what is the meaning of credit transfer? So if you could just maybe state again what credit transfer is.
Yeah, certainly. Credit transfer, again, is acknowledging the prior post-secondary courses that you've already completed. So maybe your college journey started somewhere else, and maybe you only did a semester somewhere else or took a couple of courses somewhere else, and now you're doing the same or a similar program with Canadore, and we're very happy to have you. In those cases, you might have covered material already that is the same as the material you will cover at the program in Canadore. So that is where we acknowledge, and through our credit transfer application process, there's a formal review done to compare the course that you did before against the course at Canadore that you're seeking exemption from, basically. And then our subject matter expert will look at the course learning outcomes, because that's what we use to determine, are they in fact the same course, not just the course title, but what was actually taught. And the course hours are important too. We typically will not favorably or approve if you did a 14-hour course. You're not likely going to get credit for a 56-hour course. So you're also looking for a similarity in course hours, but the course learning outcomes are ultimately the most important thing to start, at least starting spot. So it's a great way to hopefully seek exemption and find ways for you to reduce your course load and again honor the prior post-secondary learning that you've already done.
Awesome. So Jonathan, to keep with you, we have an anonymous entity saying, I've already sent my previous transcript from other institutions through the same Ontario College's website a few months ago. What would be the next step if I want to transfer some of those credits? So I guess the application process is really what they're asking.
Sure. And I'm going to answer that question and another question that comes out of the question you just asked and that I didn't refer to previously, and I apologize for skipping over on it. When it comes to documentation, it is vital, and I cannot stress, we will not, capital N-O-T, we will not accept a transcript from a student unless it is in a sealed envelope that has come from the institution. Some students do request to have a physical copy sent to them. But if you've opened that envelope, we will not touch it. Same thing with an email. Sometimes students get some kind of a record from their prior school sent to them via email, and then they simply try and forward that to us. We will not accept that. We will only accept transcripts directly from the prior post-secondary institution. And it is the student's responsibility to make those arrangements and pay any fees that you may have to pay to have that documentation sent to us. So you can't simply just, flip it along in an email. Some people will do it through the route, much to your original question, Daryl, through Ocass. So if you've applied through Ocass and you've had a transcript uploaded through that process, then we can access it and it's valid and there's no issue. So if your transcript has already come through Ocass, you're 1/3 of the way there. Then you literally all you have to do is fill out an application form and then supply the full course outline that connects to the course you're trying to use from your prior institution. You don't have to supply the Canadore outlines. We've got those already. So it's only the ones from the prior post-secondary institution. And those can actually be linked directly into the application form too, to try and make it easier for students. You can add one document to our application form. Sometimes students will use multiple prior courses, and which is fine, to go after one Canadore course. And when that happens, you simply just have to email me the additional course outlines that correspond to the application. But yeah, transcript, outlines, and application are kind of, that's the trio that we're looking for when it comes to documentation and doing those applications. Hopefully that answers the question that you have asked.
That's awesome. Yes. And so we do have another question that came to us, not necessarily for you, Jonathan, specifically, but can I take another one-year course after completing the first one? Angela, I don't know if you want to answer this one.
Yes, as long as there's a program that you can take and that you're eligible being offered, you can take actually as many programs as you want. We welcome
awesome.
you to take as many programs as you want. So yes, absolutely. We have several, we offer new intakes, the fall, obviously, the winter and the spring. So watch for those intakes, and definitely you can take as many courses and programs as you like, for sure.
That's awesome.
As long as you meet eligibility, obviously.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So we have a question from Marika, and the question is, for a course like dental hygiene, is a course schedule just made up for you? So you actually don't need to put together the entire schedule yourself. It's block registration, which is what Angela was referring to. So they all come as one package deal, assuming that dental hygiene is the same as all the other registrations. So it's really simple that way as a result, because you don't have to figure out each individual class and make your schedule work. But is that the way? Is that correct, Angela? It's all block. Yeah. So that's good to be aware of. So we do have another question here, and it's asking if you drive, bike, or walk to class, is it still mandatory to buy a bus pass along with my student card?
Yes. The bus pass is a mandatory auxiliary fee. It was voted in by students a long time ago. So yes, it is part of your fees. You're going to be paying for it regardless. So yes, you'll be getting a bus pass. Every full-time student will be getting a bus pass.
Thank you, Angela. So we do have another question. It's an anonymous one, but will there be a tool fair for technical courses this year? And if so, when will it be taking place? So I can answer part of this. I'm not sure for all programs. My short answer would be to contact your coordinator. As a heads up, if you don't know who your coordinator is, we will be sending it to you. However, if you go on the program page on our website and hit the contact button, there's going to be that coordinator listed there. I do know, at least for our aviation programs, typically we do have a tool fair in the first week of classes. It's actually a great opportunity to perhaps save a little bit of money on your tools and get them as a package deal. So you're not out getting individual tools at Home Depot or wherever you might buy your tools. But if you don't know and you're not taking aviation, I would contact your coordinator for that. We do have another question. I see Angela, you are typing an answer, but I think it's a good one to ask. I am a domestic student and have not received an invoice of my fees. Could you please tell me the exact time when that fee amount is due? So Angela, if you wouldn't mind also vocally answering that question too.
Yes, definitely. I would encourage that student to contact our office and not put any other information in there, like their student number or anything like that. We will, if you contact us, we can definitely provide you with your invoice. However, the fees, the due date for fees was yesterday for final payment before registration opens. So you would have paid your deposit on June 15th of $250, and then according to the important dates and deadlines, August 3rd was when all the rest of your fees and tuitions were due. So please contact our office at admissions@canadorecollege.ca or call us at 5123, and we can definitely provide you with that invoice and the means to be able to pay for that.
Awesome. So I do need to take a step back to when I answered that question for the tool list. It's not the first week that the tool sale goes on at the campus. It's the third week. So I just want to make sure I corrected myself there. We do have another question here from a student who appears to me is attending Mississauga campus. Can I change my campus to North Bay after completing my first year course? So there is going to be a couple of different answers for that. So Angela, I don't know if you wanted to answer that question as well, but I will leave it to you.
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, Sylvia, I think the answer is no, but yeah.
Sorry, Daryl. So this is after my first year course. So if you've graduated from your program and you want to apply to a second program, you can certainly apply to a different campus at that time. If you are only finished your first year and you're in a 2-year program, you cannot transfer mid-program. Once you started at a campus, you have to finish at that campus.
Thank you, Sylvie. Appreciate the answer. We do have a really quick question that really isn't, I think, for anybody on the panel specifically, but Zachary is asking, what does the first day usually look like? Is it straight to class? So we are on a call right now that includes our registration admission staff. And so we aren't referring to something the student union may be running, something like a Frosh Week. I'm not exactly sure personally. I don't know if anybody else is on the call of when a Frosh Week may be going on. But in terms of your student life or student, what's the word I'm looking for? your commitments as a student, yes, you're going to have your first day and whatever classes you have during that day, you would just go straight to class. But there may be other social activities going on, and so you can certainly take part in those as you see fit.
And then Daryl, just want to add to you, there's going to be more details coming to students, but we are going to be doing something called Partners in Success during the first day of classes. More details will be ironed out and that information will be communicated to students, but there will be classes the first day, but there will also be a little bit of additional information from some of the student success areas and the student services available at Canadore. So it's a mix of both.
Yes, thank you, Trish. So we do have another anonymous question. So do we buy our parking pass before registration or on the first day of class? So you'll receive an email about parking passes before the term begins, and typically you purchase it online. And then if you have paid for one and done it, and they've got it at the security office ready for you to pick up. So it's a pretty simple process, but you'll know more once you get that email. We do have a couple of questions regarding safety, and Trish, you're already answering. Do you want to answer vocally as well about North Bay being safe?
Yeah, North Bay being safe. So we are going to have the safety session on next week, but I've lived here for multiple years, so it is. I find generally a safe city, a safe town, but you do have to be smart. So and the session on next Thursday, we'll talk about kind of some strategies that you can use to be safe. And the Canadore campus is safe. We do have the Canadore Safe app, which we'll talk more about next Thursday, and you can find more information about that on the Canadore Orientation website. But there's a what is it, Safe Walk. So there's different measures in place to help make sure the safety, not just of all students on campus. So stay tuned for more information, but yes, North Bay is a safe place to live, to go to school. You just got also just making smart choices as well.
Awesome, that's great. So we do have a question here. What if I haven't paid my extra fees yet? Can I still do that? So I would imagine, Angela, you would have probably a better shot at having that answer, or Sylvie.
Sorry. Yes. Playing yo-yo with my camera. Yes, you can still pay your fees. I'm going to assume that it's because you deferred and then there was a bit of an increase in fees. That needs to be paid before you're able to actually complete your registration. You can do that on your self-service account through the Student Payment TouchNet Center.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So another question that we have is from Jasmine. If it's easy to find off campus, I should say, jobs in North Bay. So I would just say, Jasmine, is depending on which campus you're at, so where residence is near a bit of a retail area in North Bay. So there's grocery stores, there's also retail shops just down the street from where residence is located. But of course, I can't speak to other companies. And so there is lots of different job portals. We also have a career center here at the school that also doesn't just have our own jobs for students, but also has other positions that are in the community. So just be aware that, yes, that there is going to be other jobs, but I can't speak to, how easy it's going to be, since there's a lot of different things at stake there. How much you want to take a job, what kind of job it is, all those kinds of things. So just keep in mind that, yeah, there's lots of jobs around North Bay, but how hard you're looking for it is also going to depend on how quickly you get one. We have an anonymous attendee asking if campuses are near each other, and they are fairly near each other. North Bay isn't a massive city, however, they are still separate. Basically, where our College Drive campus and residence is, aviation is roughly, I think, 6 kilometers away from where College Drive is. And our other campus, that's called Commerce Court, is roughly 8 or 9 kilometers away. But that's why the bus pass is automatically given, so that you have a way of getting to those campuses, just in case you don't have a vehicle. And we have a question here about residents. So Trish, I believe you said that the residents welcome home session is going to be taking place next week. So they're the ones that take care of residents entirely. So we can't really answer on their behalf, but Trish, I will pass it off to you.
Yeah, it'll be Nicole and Ryan will be joining us next week, and they'll be able to provide you some concrete information. We don't want to give anything incorrect.
Makes sense. We did just get a really quick question from Jasmeet, which I can certainly answer. Can the bus pass be used to transit anywhere in Canada or any type like Metro? And so no, Jasmeet, it's a city bus pass. So it works for North Bay and area, wherever the bus goes in the North Bay Transit line. But yeah, if you're in Toronto, you can't use that same card to get on a bus there. Is the bus pass unlimited? It's another anonymous question that we received. Yeah, you can use it as much as you want or need. They're not gonna, you'll just flash your card essentially, show them that it's got the bus pass attached to it. They'll know exactly what to do, allow you on the bus, and you're good to go. And Sylvia, I see you're answering another question, so I will leave that to you to answer. Good question here. It's anonymous. Is airport shuttle available for students arriving at Pearson? I'm not sure if anybody on this meeting can answer that one, but if so, please do speak up.
I can answer it. And so I know Hins was on the call yesterday, and he did provide a link in the chat where you can order a shuttle from the Pearson Airport to North Bay. We will be sending out the information that was in the chat as soon as we compile it all and make it a little bit cleaner to anyone who's registered for the sessions, and it'll also be posted on the website. So yes, I just don't have the exact link right now, but it will be on the Canadore website by early next week.
Awesome. Trish, I'm going to hold on to you again because we have another question regarding the Zoom meeting for the welcome home sessions for residents. So one is, when is the meeting exactly? And secondly, how do they register for it?
So August 11th is when the meeting for residents is going to be there. And so there's 5 sessions for the table talk sessions. If you register for one, you had the option to select all of them, but basically the link you used for this meeting today, you can use it to join in all of the sessions that we have going on. So we've got August 11th, August 18th, August 23rd, and August 25th are when we have the 4 remaining sessions. If you miss it, we are recording them, and we will have all that information on our Canadore website.
Awesome. I do see some residence questions coming up. So they are the ones to get in touch with. So one is, I've already booked, I'm assuming you mean a residence room. What's the process to move in? That'll all be provided by residents. So maybe join us next week for that session, because they'll be able to answer that question directly. We do not work in the residence department, so we cannot answer that specifically. We do have another question. Can the college help with finding accommodation off campus? There are resources to be aware of. And so I don't know if anybody on that call from from our side of things can potentially put some of those links in the chat. That would be appreciated. And all the other questions are actually getting answered, but one I will just answer, even though Trish, you're currently typing the answer. What if you're unable to attend the other Zooms? These are being recorded, and so they will be posted, I believe Trish, you said, on YouTube, as well as potentially emailed to students. Maybe you could just speak to that.
Yeah, so the videos get uploaded to YouTube, but they're linked to it on the Canadore Orientation website. So when you click on the watch replay, it will redirect you to the YouTube site, and you can watch it there.
Awesome. Jade is asking a question about, do we have to book a tour of the campus to see the classes for our program? Jade, you certainly don't need to do that. You can if you'd like to, and there I will put the link. Basically, it's canadorecollege.ca/join us in the chat, and you'll find that there's an ability to book a tour straight through the calendar and which campus you'll be attending. But you certainly don't need to tour the campus with us. We're not specifically focusing necessarily on every class you're going to have for your program. So once you have your schedule after registration takes place and you might be here, my suggestion is to walk around the campus, whether with the help of a volunteer or not, and to find those exact classes for you. So Angela, another question about fees has come up. I don't know if Sylvie or Angela, if you want to answer this one, or Melissa is already answering. I paid full tuition fee, but only mandatory ancillary fees pending. Is this okay to register? I don't know if somebody wants to answer that one.
Yeah, I can go ahead, Anne. No,
go ahead.
Okay.
Everybody wants to answer.
Yeah, sometimes I just, if it's international, I'm not sure if Andrew wants me to jump in. All of your first semester fees have to be paid before you can register. So if you still have anything that's pending to be paid for your fall semester, pay it now or you won't be allowed to proceed with your registration.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvie. We do have a vaccination question. So the question is the third dose of the vaccine necessary before arriving in Canada? So as an international, you may want to just check the link from yesterday's session that we had, which was the international session. That question did come up a few times, and so that we did answer it. I believe that Hins answered that one as well. So I'm not sure if anybody on the call today remembers the answer necessarily, but if anybody wants to kind of speak to it, they can. But that is the final question that we have available. So we don't have any more open questions. Did anybody want to touch that third dose question before I move on?
Yeah, so I can. So always refer to IRCC website. They have the most up-to-date information. Also download the ArriveCan app. That will also have up-to-date information, as I think you may still need to download that to be able to come into the airport in Canada.
That's my understanding as well. So thank you, Sylvie, for doing that. So we've got another question that has been answered already. So the question is, what address and contact number do I provide for student ID and bus pass? So it is anonymous. So the answer to that I'll give you right now is provide your current address. And once you have a new address, you can then update that contact information in the system. And then we have another anonymous question. Are immunizations at the Canadore Health Centre free of charge? And so my understanding would be that yes, they would be, but you may want to get in touch with the campus health center just to be sure of that. They can be contacted by looking it up in the directory on the Canadore website. Maybe somebody wants to throw that in the chat as well. And yeah, so we have somebody asking if they can have a link for yesterday's session for the international students. And again, that will be provided. And Trish, I know you already said this, I think it'll be emailed, correct?
Yeah, we are looking at just sending an email notification to everyone who registered for the session, letting them know that it's been posted, and then also just check on the website. It should be up, I want to say by the end of this week, but no guarantees, but definitely early next week for sure.
Perfect. So we do have another question here from Jasmine. What deferment, is it available only once? And Jasmine, I can say, because I've been doing these calls, but Angela, if you want to jump in, yes, you only really have one deferral. If you want a second one, then you have to reapply. So you'd have to pay all the fees again to apply, submit all your documentation again, and go from there. That's a great question, and I know you are answering this typing. Even if I'm taking an online course on graduation day, can I come to the campus in person? And I believe that is a resounding yes. We absolutely want you to celebrate with us.
Absolutely, yes. We just this year we started having in-person graduations again, so it's very exciting. And yes, once you graduate, all graduates will be invited to an in-person graduation. Dates will be emailed to students when those graduation ceremonies are happening. So yes, absolutely. We will have in-person graduations, whether you're studying online or face-to-face. Yeah.
Awesome. So we do have another question. So are there on the mandatory tool list, there's some items required day one? Are they actually required day one, or can I wait? So to that person, that's anonymous. I would contact that program coordinator, and so they will be the ones that can answer that. Nobody on this call, unfortunately, can answer it. So I would find that person and that contact, whether it's going through the program page online and hitting contact, and go from there. We also have another international question. So do we get a graduation invitation for our parents to come from a home country? I don't know if anybody on the call today can answer that one, but Sylvie is available.
Yeah, so you will receive an email letting you know that you can request your graduation invitation letter for your parents. You'll also get a letter for the consulate to support them. Now that typically happens a few weeks, usually about a month before graduation, before convocation. So just keep an eye on your emails closer to that time.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvie. So we did answer this question already, but Alyssa is wondering how to know which campus she is going to be attending.
Alyssa, when you applied for your program, you would have applied to a program that is associated to a campus, and all of your documents, your offer letter, your confirmation letters would have had that campus on it. So if you're not sure right now, you can go to our website and search your program, and it will tell you which campus. Other than that, you would have all that information in any of the documents that you would received through the application cycle.
Yeah, so if you are a North Bay student, it'll either say Aviation Campus, Commerce Corp Campus, or College Drive Campus. And so those are each separate campuses to be aware of. So we do have another question, and it has to do with mailing address. So should they change their address in the system, is there a cost associated with doing that? Which Angela is shaking her head no. So I would imagine that.
No, there's no cost to changing your address, and if you do change your address while you're here, it is important that you update it so that if we do have to send any information to you by mail, that we do have the accurate address in our system for you. So
that is awesome. So with that in mind, I believe we're pretty much through all the questions. So we're just going to give thanks and give some final reminders here. So just before we end, we did want to just extend a big thank you to all of the panelists, as well as all of the students that have attended today.